The Bear season 3 on FX, and then you can watch it on Hulu as well. Is anyone else watching or started season 3?
I have not.
Haven't started it yet.
Did you guys watch season 1 and 2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this does seem to pick up right where season 2 left off, where Carmy has opened up his restaurant, Bear, in Chicago, converting his sandwiches, like beef sandwich shop, into like what we think should not be a Michelin star level restaurant.
But that does seem to be what he's doing, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's going real high end.
Lord.
It seems like a strange pivot from like the sandwich level shop.
Okay, so Jeremy Allen White plays Carmy. And, we sort of see him have almost a breakdown at the end of season 2, gets himself locked in the freezer and so on and so forth. I don't want to do a lot of spoiler alerts if you have not even watched the series. I highly recommend it. The acting, the directing, the scripts, everything's fabulous. And it's really about this young man who comes back to the family beef sandwich shop and converts it to his own restaurant and vision.
Right, and he's a much more highly elevated trained chef versus...
They show some of his background, and it would be equivalent to the French Laundry, Michelin star chef restaurants where the kitchen is very almost borderline militaristic. But they give us a little more insight, too, of the different chefs he's studying with. And some also felt like maybe more back to the earth and natural gardens and that type of element. But a lot of repetition in that level of a chef. You are just picking off the little blossoms off of lavenders or rosemary sprigs. And it's like, oh, yeah.
And that very intricate plating where it's like, I squeezed on a little whatever. Yeah.
And, he doesn't seem to have built the staff around him that can back this up.
No, this is the sandwich shop staff.
Well, not everybody. Sydney, his co-chef, and basically maybe part owner in the restaurant as well, she's on this journey with him. She will go down this path with him because she has the background.
She's headed towards
everybody else. Cousin Richie. There's this great character that was basically the repairman. Maddie Matheson plays him, and it's Fack, they call him, or something. Yeah, you're trying to make an elephant in a China store work. It's just, there's just elements like that everywhere, right? And then, yes.
Wait, isn't the expression a bull in a China shop? I mean,
yeah, sort of.
An elephant also would be bad in
but
a
he
China
is sort of tiptoeing through. But the other chefs, their background, although last season showed them going out and maybe getting more experience. So this first episode gives us a little more insight into Carmy's background. It almost had zero dialogue in it. It was sort of food porn in some ways. But then by episode 2, you kicked into what is the frenetic pace of where you're like, oh, is Carmy mentally ill? I mean, what is happening here? He does this list of non-negotiables that really seem like not possible, and it's going to drive him insane. End of the last season, like I said, I don't want to do spoiler alerts, but he has an issue with the relationship he just started. And so that's going in a loop in the back of his mind and sort of upsetting him. Him and Richie are so combative that you're just like, it is not relaxed watching. And if you ever want to open a restaurant, this could freaking cure you. You're like, never mind. And he does say he wants to go for a Michelin star.
Oh, wow.
Now, the level that you've got to, which is, listen, Michelin stars can be, bestowed upon a taco stand in the middle of El Segundo.
What?
Yes.
No, really?
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
I thought they were only for super fancy stuff. I don't know the Michelin star.
No. And
thing.
It's also like James Beard is the same way. Traditionally, they are very high-end, prestigious, for 99% of the world, unattainable restaurants or experiences. But there is this other level that is like, no, you make the best tacos. You make the best, croissant in some small bakery. Or they can be very broad. James Beard is almost the same way. But in order to achieve this Michelin star, it is brutal. You basically have to be sort of perfect. Ew. And you got to get on their radar, and they have to come. So that he's decided, like, we're going to go for it. In the first year, the first couple of months they've opened the restaurant, which means, the level of R&D, research and development, is going to drive his sister, the manager, Shug, played by Abby Elliott, insane. And one of the great characters is basically their uncle, the investor, Uncle Jimmy Oliver Platt.
Oh, my gosh, I love him.
Opened or agreed to open this business to make money.
Yeah.
So it's a family drama at its core. You're also watching Carmen, the head chef, struggle with these mental obstacles that he has going on in the back of his mind and the struggle for perfection. And I think, that can destroy some people.
Yeah.
There's great cameos by some truly famous chefs that if you're like a foodie, you'll recognize them. And like I said, it'll make you question the idea of ever wanting to work in a kitchen, much less open a restaurant. But it is just as enthralling as it's ever been because it's driven by the characters and the acting that you're sucked in. But it is not relaxing. It's not an easy watch.
So that's also not a nighttime watch because then you're trying to go to bed.
And I'll say the origins of the season 1 and 2, by him going for this Michelin star, it's sort of like he's done, well, like I just said, you had this sandwich shop that anybody, no matter class, economic, regardless, could go up and get this sandwich, right? Now, ironically, he's creating this environment, the neighborhood themselves cannot really partake in it.
Oh.
It's such elevated food that he's going for this level of perfection. It won't appeal to the masses, which then made me question this last season was a little that's what's happening here too. Some of what you're going for becomes more unrelatable for most of your audience. And so you're sort of losing us a little bit.
Oh, you mean relating the restaurant to the actual viewing experience?
Yeah. It was sort of I mean, this can be somewhat of an education, but at the same time, people are I'm never going to go to a restaurant like that for various reasons. Maybe not even economic. Maybe that is not my type of food. I would not want that fancy of experience or that high pressure or looking at a menu what is this? And every night the menu changes. So it's all right, figure out something I like on that menu. I'm going to go back.
No.
It's gone. So it's probably its most challenging season so far. I think most episodes are directed by Christopher Storer, and the pace is, that. There's a couple directors this season, but the first few I've watched, that's and actually, the character Sydney, she directs a few episodes too.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah. So still recommend it. Love the Bear, season 3 available on FX and Hulu, and I think all 10 episodes are available now.
I want to jump in and say from last season when we reviewed and recommended the show that one of my big disappointments from the first 2 seasons was they didn't even get started. They hadn't gotten the doors open. They hadn't really gotten the restaurant up and running. I'm I want the show to be a tragedy of him burning himself to the ground trying to make it work. So finally during season 3 we're going to get something, but it's not the restaurant, it's not the beef. Maybe that's a good thing for this season is that they want to show you him really swinging and what happened when he ended up having to come back to the family business and show you him falling on his face this season and maybe reset and go back to the beef next season. I'd like that.
The beef is not coming back in the sense of that won't take over the whole space, but it is not dead either. I don't want to, spoiler alert, but there's a window that's trying to operate and satisfy what was the customer base in the neighborhood for this famous beef sandwich.
That's good that it's not dead. Yeah.
It's a lot. Some episodes you're ugh. And Mark will turn me and want to watch another one. I'm no, I am exhausted. I just watch family. They all need family therapy. No.